Good day, beautiful people. This is Natalie Silva with Life Treasures and Golden Moments, where I always share with you true stories of miracles and inspiration. I hope you're having a good start to the new week here and having wonderful weather wherever you are. Right in our area of the country, it feels like fall already, but it's really nice to have some cooler weather after our heat waves. Today I'd like to share another story with you about the miracle of animals, kind of one of my favorite areas. And it was written by Janetta Messinger, and it's called Shorthaired Miracle. I hope you enjoy it. Just because we bought a new house doesn't mean we need a dog, I try to reason with my husband. But we have the perfect backyard. Come on, it'll be fun, Ray pleaded his case. His perfect backyard consisted of a mud pit. He needed to sod. What part of a barking dog is fun, I asked, waiting for his retort. He didn't give me one, so I thought I'd gotten my point across. Hon, look here. There's a Christmas bazaar going on at the Humane Society today. While I'm checking out the dogs, you can look at the crafts. Ray announced a few weeks later after reading our local newspaper. Hey, Janetta, maybe one of them will follow us home, my husband joked. Oh, I doubt that. I knew in my heart I shouldn't agree to go, but anything crafty appealed to me. If we're going, why don't we call Pat and Phyllis? But remember, we are not bringing one of those mutts home. We picked up our friends and headed into Boulder. On the way, I informed all of them we weren't getting a dog. My plan, shop for Christmas presents, nothing else. Once we hit the Humane Society door, Phyllis and I went towards the crafts, and the men went in the direction of all the noise. It wasn't a minute later when I saw my husband walking toward me. You have to come see this gorgeous dog, Ray proclaimed. Why? I know what a dog looks like. I gave my hubby a questioning look. Oh, but this dog is different, Ray grinned. Pat nodded in agreement. Against my better judgment, I followed them in the whining, barking, and overwhelming putrid smell. The odor almost made me turn and run. Don't they ever clean these places? We walked past dozens of cages with yappy dogs, vying for anyone's attention. Ray walked past them all, finally coming to a stop in front of one where a large, dark, brown dog sat, not making a sound of any kind. I glanced up at the tag attached to the door. It read, Mandy. I looked over at my hubby in total amazement. Yes, dear, that's what it says. I'd always told Ray if we ever had a little girl, I wanted to name her Mandy. It's my favorite song by Barry Manilow. Lord, I know you work in mysterious ways, but a dog? Isn't she cute? Let's take her for a walk, Ray announced. Why? Can't we see everything we need to see through the cage? Come on, Janetta, let's take her for a walk. Our two friends pleaded. I guess I don't have a choice, but Lord, the four of us took Mandy for a walk, and she stayed between Ray and me. My arguments for not wanting a dog fell on deaf ears. When we got back to the building, we signed the adoption papers. Mandy became a part of our family. Lord, what are you doing to me? Didn't you hear me? I don't want a dog. Somehow we crammed all five of us in the cab of our pickup. I dropped off Ray and Mandy first, then took our friends home. By the time I parked back at our house, I'd forgotten I now owned a dog. I flung the front door wide open and Mandy came charging out. I stood dumbfounded. Mandy ran out, I cried, and pointed, Ray, go get her. Ray called her name and she ran back to him, prancing on her new front porch. This is amazing, a dog who listens and one that doesn't bark. This marked the beginning of our journey with Mandy. As with anything new, we had to learn her likes and dislikes. Right away, we found out she liked to follow us around. If I went downstairs to do the laundry, she'd follow me. When Ray headed out to the garage, Mandy would dance around by the side door until he came back inside. If she wasn't glued to our side, we'd find her curled up in her favorite sunny spot under the west window. At night, Mandy would follow us upstairs. She slept a few feet from us on her doggy bed, close enough to keep an eye on us. One of Mandy's definite dislikes came when I took her to visit the vet the first time. The minute we stepped foot into Dr. Sunshine's office, Our normally quiet, subdued dog started to whine at the top of her lungs. I know God and everyone heard her. She continued the serenade throughout the entire examination, while almost shaking herself off the metal table. I had to help Dr. Sunshine hold her so she wouldn't. When the doctor finished, he sat her back on the floor. Mandy acted like nothing happened. She wagged her short little tail and waited for her treat. Another of Mandy's aversions concerned her going outside to do her business. If she wouldn't have had to go, she wouldn't have so much for needing a backyard. The instant she finished, she'd run to the door, wanting back in, rain or shine, and especially with snow on the ground. And when the white stuff covered the backyard, she would reluctantly go out, stopping every few seconds to lift one of her paws to keep them from getting wet. With all her acrobatics, I'm not sure she got anything done, but the show she put on entertained everyone who witnessed it. Camping rated high in Mandy's book of favorites. This was the only time she enjoyed the great outdoors. She'd frolic around trying to catch butterflies or the pesky mosquitoes buzzing around her head as we set up our campsite on a Friday night. Ray would get the fire going so we could roast hot dogs and marshmallows. Mandy would pace back and forth between us, waiting for one of us to accidentally drop our last bite of food. After we put out the fire, we'd head to our Jeep. Mandy would jump into the front seat while Ray and I snuggled in the back end. In the morning, she climbed over the seat and wake us with her cold nose pressed against one of our faces. This gesture told us she was ready for our day to begin. Over the next 6 years, our 60-pound German short-haired pointer turned my indifference to dogs into a full-blown love affair. With Mandy, I witnessed her complete love and acceptance of us. No questions asked. Even though the Humane Society told us Mandy's previous owners moved and couldn't take her with them. Ray and I wondered if there could be another reason. I said the Lord wanted to bless our lives, and he found the most unlikely way to do it. A few weeks after we celebrated Mandy's 12th birthday, Ray and I planned a vacation. Right before we left, Mandy decided to quit eating. We weren't concerned. She'd done it before. We said she rebelled because she knew she wasn't going with us. Ray's mom came to babysit. 4 days later, Ruth called. She's taken Mandy to the vet because she hadn't eaten since we left. We came home early and rushed to the after-hour clinic. Instead of our energetic friend greeting us, she just laid there. We sat next to Mandy's cage. She moved her head over so we could pet her. The doctor told us we could take her home, but we had to get her to eat for her to survive. For the next 3 days, we tried to feed her ice cream and hamburger, any of her favorites. She wouldn't eat. I couldn't believe this was happening to my precious Mandy, the dog I'd fallen in love with. Looking into her eyes, I could almost see her asking me to let her go. "But you were supposed to live forever, remember?" I cried. "Ray, you know we're only keeping Mandy alive because we don't want to let her go," I told him when he got home from work that night. "Honey, it's time." He nodded and called the vet. We took her in, and Dr. Sunshine explained what would happen. He asked if we wanted to stay. We couldn't fathom watching our best friend die, so we hugged Mandy. Tears rolled down our faces as we said our goodbyes. As my husband pulled out of the parking lot, I reached over and took hold of his hand and whispered a prayer. "Thank you, Lord, for Mandy, and how she taught us to love unconditionally. She's the best dog I never wanted, and what a precious gift she turned out to be." Isn't life funny sometimes? God does work in mysterious ways. And sometimes the gifts that we don't think we want wind up to be the best treasures of all. This is Natalie Silver. Until next time, take care, God bless, and have a beautiful week. And I'll be back with you again soon. And keep your eye open for all those special treasures that may be in your life. because you may indeed be rewarded by a special gift that God has sent to you as a miracle.